Not a cent. That's what the court ruled is due to rank-and-file members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who sued the government for overtime payment.
Bold accusations and claims were made by Jamaica Police Federation JPF President Corporal Rohan James, who outlined a slew of grievances he holds on behalf of rank-and-file officers.
The government, our employer, is very much unreasonable in the treatment that is being administered to us. They have not sought to acknowledge the fact that for 13 years, working overtime, that the government has failed in its obligation to compensate the rank-and-file membership. They have sought to undermine the efficiency of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
He was speaking during CBM Live's panel discussion on Monday. Acknowledging the JPF claims, a minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Matthew Samuda, says the police have not been excluded from policy benefits afforded to public servants. He also points to the recent salary and wage increase of 4% that the force will benefit from.
I would find it unfortunate if that's viewed as a declaration of war. That's also against the backdrop that the single largest investment into the police force infrastructure has come from this government. So over, I believe it's 98 police stations, which is just over about half, have already seen either renovation or replacement. That's the greatest investment into the infrastructure and their working conditions.
Corporal James says the government has not been listening to the issues of the police and says the 4% increase is inadequate.
They have presented a mere imposition of 4% and a dictatorial approach.
Well, that 4%.
Last Friday, the court handed down its decision in the claim made by the Police Federation that the government of Jamaica owed its members billions of dollars in unpaid overtime. Unpaid overtime. For several years now, the Jamaica Police Federation have been campaigning and advocating on the basis that the men and women of the constabulary force were having to put in 60 up to 80 hours per week while being paid for only 40 hours. And their campaign was so effective, very effective, because we were all led to believe that this government and previous governments were simply exploiting the men and women of the constabulary force in having them working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and paying them only 40 hours. That is what we were led to believe. Only for us to now get this ruling by the court that says, listener, there was this agreement between the government of Jamaica and the Police Federation that says, if you're a member of the JCF, you'll be paid not for 40 hours per week, but 50 hours per week, in recognition of the fact that you do not do the standard 40 hours per week. But also, the additional 10 hours that they would be paid was whether they actually worked more than 40 hours or not. Why? Because the police force, which is an indictment on the leadership and management of the force, does not have in place a credible, transparent system to account for when a policeman or woman checks in or checks out. They don't. They don't know when a policeman turns up for duty, what time, and what time they leave. They don't have a system. So what has happened is that the court has found that by agreeing to the government to accept that additional 10 hours, whether you work or not, the Police Federation has accepted and undermined that, listen, those 10 additional hours that you have been collecting for represents whatever you may have been losing or gaining. And as such, the court decided not to give them 1 red cent more.
We are pulling service because the government has not honored its obligation. We're going to be penning to the Minister of National Security and the Minister of Finance an open letter. We're going to give them an opportunity before the 25th of November. We are going to ensure that that letter is seen by all the citizens of Jamaica. Here is what I would say to the Minister of Security and the elected representative. If it is that the 25th comes and you don't have what you need to put in place, I am saying to you that we are going to injunct you and our commissioner. We are going to ensure that our attorney is properly instructed to protect our rights. We are workers first and foremost, and we are citizens with rights in this country. Government to tell us about a 4%, and if we not take it, we name police, we not frightened for nobody. Nobody no bigger than we. Nobody no better than we. They're bright and pasty.
Not a cent. That's what the court ruled is due to rank-and-file members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who sued the government for overtime payment.
And the court went further to say you now need to put in place that system to record and document when the members of the JCF clock in and clock out. Now this is an embarrassment for the leadership of the JPF, the JPF, you know, the Police Federation, the Jamaica Police Federation. Because I think they effectively, in their campaign and advocacy, did not make it clear that they were getting this additional 10 hours in pay. So even we in media get fooled by it. So the media on Friday declared that it was a major victory for the Police Federation, when as it turned out, not at all. Not at all. Yes. And I wonder what the members of the Federation, the rank and file, are having to say. I see where the leadership is now saying they will appeal. Let us see how that goes.